All right, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody had a nice lunch, maybe enjoyed some biryani here in Hyderabad. I'm Karan Parikh. I'm CEO and co-founder at Green Rain Studios. We're an Unreal authorized training center based out of Mumbai, and I myself am an Unreal instructor too. Joining me today, we have Nick Orchard, who's Associate Technical Director at Technicolor Games, sorry, Associate Technical Art Director at Technicolor Games. And we have Ganesh from Monolith. And both of these gentlemen, to my left and right, have been doing some amazing work in the Unreal ecosystem, upskilling talent. And yeah, we're here to sort of discuss what they've been up to and looking forward to learning more about what you've done for the community. So I want to start with understanding, what initially motivated you to focus on building Unreal talent here in India, and how do you see the demand for these skills evolving? So let's start with Nick.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for letting me be here today. This is my first IGDC and first sort of convention being able to sort of show off the various skills and things we've been learning within the studio. So primarily I started with, Technicolor Games is part of a brand of Technicolor Group, which covers Micros Animation, MPC Film, and The Mill, where they cover everything. They've been doing Unreal Engine for around 5 years now, from everything from experiential through to series, feature films, and really every area of media. So whilst I was working in those departments, previous to being there, I had done a master's degree in video game design at Preston with a primary focus of Unreal Engine. So when I heard that Technicolor Games were also part of our group, I was always very interested in how they were using, how they were developing games and how they were sort of co-developing within the industry. And then once I sort of had the opportunity to join Technicolor Games, I completely jumped at the chance for that. So with Technicolor Games is based in Bangalore, and the team is absolutely fantastic. And as the industry sort of evolves, we've also seen that clients are requesting more and more Unreal related work, and we are really upskilling across the board from with games within Unreal Engine as well. As a studio, we have an active development team with many of the other proprietary engines for clients, as well as many of the other sort of engines that are being developed. And we really want to build our team to also develop within Unreal Engine. We already have some fantastic talent at Technicolor Games related to Unreal, and it's really about quantifying those skills and being able to put them out into the market to really show our clients the potential of what we are able to produce. So we do things from post-production, pre-production, post-production, through all the way to releasing projects as well. And as the market kind of evolves, we want to ensure that we are at the forefront and the market leaders in co-development across all of the engines. And with Unreal being the primary one that seems to lots of the clients are asking for at the moment, the upskilling really we're aiming for there at the moment. Thank you.
Got it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Nick. And Ganesh?
Hi, thanks for the introduction, Karan. Our initial motivation for coming into this Unreal ecosystem was the parent company Monolith Technologies is a 25-year-old multimedia technology company where we cater all kind of multimedia technological solution to our clients. So since we are involved in media technology solutions, we have to constantly upgrade ourselves in that managed services field to keep track on what's happening in the industry. So the technology grows faster and we have to run towards that. So during those time, the content creation for games and the immersive content creation was on the peak, like during the COVID and post-COVID times. We found a very big demand in the industry for this kind of content creation. And also we saw a demand which shared that there are lack of Unreal artists to cater those services here. So we thought we can upskill. So we saw this demand as an opportunity to the students who are trying to come up in this technology. So we tried to bridge this gap between the demand and opportunity, and we started in training the media ecosystem into Unreal Engine. So we do both skilling the fresh talents into Unreal Engine, also upskilling the existing media talents into Unreal Engine.
Got it. Great. So Nick, how do you ensure artists you work with are industry ready and are able to use Unreal on projects?
So, as we're training industry professionals who are already well established within their disciplines, a lot of the time we do a number of different types of modules of training at Technicolor games. So we'll do sort of introductory courses, which give them, a skill level from 0 to 2 to give them those foundational sort of skills within Unreal. But we also do many modules which would do for advanced lighting, cinematics, VFX, and we would just get those, the industry leaders that we have and the disciplines that those specific disciplines, and we would bring those modules into just their light. So say the lighting artist might not necessarily learn about VFX, but they would have a foundational understanding of Niagara and how those are working across the industry. But we mainly focus on whatever the discipline is. We will focus a module on those. So for instance, with the new release of 5.5, and we've had megalights released over the last few days, there would then be a process where I would develop my skills, develop a training module relating to a megalights, and then I'd then do a series of courses with our lighting artists to upskill them so they're ready for clients and potential work as well.
Got it. And for someone who has no prior experience with the engine, how long does that typically take before you can put them on a project?
So we do run, it's definitely artist dependent. So we find that depending on who the artist is, how long they've been in the industry, how quickly they are able to adapt to sort of the new skills using Unreal. We generally, it's sort of based on the artist, but we do also have very much champions that sort of seem to pick it up very quickly, and within a number of months they're sort of ready for sort of client-based work, and they're already they are already working on productions now, based on some training that we had done sort of earlier in the year.
Right, right. No, and you bring up a good point, because sometimes you're training people who know other DCCs, right? Maybe they're using, they've used Blender or Maya or something, and to get them into a real-time workflow. Even at Green Rain, that's something we've experienced, and we have separate courses, right? Where if somebody has used a DCC in the past, we get to fast track it a little bit, where they can get up and running much faster with Unreal, and it's typically, they end up skipping some of the foundational modules, and we can start to throw them in the deep end much sooner.
Yeah, that's very much the same for us. We sort of have a number of people that have been that are at the studio that have been learning Unreal Engine sort of off their own back in their own time, and really we want to try to ensure that those people are valued as much as possible. They'll send over bits of portfolio work that they've done to me, in which then I'd kind of say, okay, there's not much reason for you to do any of the foundational skills. Let's get you straight into sort of advanced training, and we'll start running them with more advanced courses and through into intermediate courses as well.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Ganesh, so I know you train a number of media professionals, but you also have a large focus on students, right, who are still possibly in universities. And you're also looking to collaborate a lot more with academia. Can you speak a little more about that?
Sure. I would say approach to academy is one of our key roles in identifying and spreading the Unreal Engine ecosystem across. Because being an institute, you can have multiple people come in for a walk-in, or you can target some of the audience for your courses. But still, the important thing which we thought is exposure of this particular engine to the community of students, because this technology is adaptable by fresh minds easily, rather than going on and trying to convert the conventional artist or someone. So fresh minds are ready to accept this. But the awareness of this particular software or particular engine is not so much into the students. And you cannot directly blame the like colleges or universities, because it takes a hell lot of time for them to reschedule, like rearrange their curriculum. So these industry upgrades, being in industry, it's our responsibility to go and reach it to the colleges or universities and give the proper exposure to the students that this particular domain is open now, and if they start learning these skills, there are so much of opportunities in the market. So also the students now are like pretty exposed to the internet, and they are well aware of what are the opportunities available in the industry. Even before we upskill them or speak them about Unreal Engine, there are few people already has known Unreal Engine and started working on it. So we try to change the perspective that Unreal Engine is not only for media professionals. It can also be adapted by computer science engineering students and IT students, where if they know the basics of C++, they can enter into blueprints is like very easy for one who has already learned C++. So what we thought was we tried not to restrict only the media or visual communication students. We tried to spread the spectrum across the engineering colleges, where a lot of people are interested in programming and game programming and game development. So we tried to ignite the spark in them and try to give them the exposure. And so generally, if you have a walk-in of 10 people who is interested in this particular industry, after you give the exposure, it may be 20. So it's like if in a room of 100 people, it's not mandatory that all the students have followed what is Unreal Engine, what Unreal Engine is doing to the industry, how much demand is created in the Unreal. So what we do is we give them the insight of what exactly is the opportunities created and what and all can be done by Unreal Engine. Also, we tell them separately, if we are speaking with the computer science engineering students, we tell them specifically how you are related to this particular engine. So after giving that clarity, so now it's their choice, and the number of interested people the count of interested people will increase. So this is how we deal with academies. So also we like to mention that now the colleges and universities are giving a very good positive approach on adapting this technology into their curriculum. So they see the demand in front of the students, whatever they wanted in this. So since they cannot adapt immediately, they take help of authorized institute like us to implement this kind of courses into their curriculum.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of changes in academia as well. Just in Mumbai, where I live, we've got Whistling Woods now, and they have a program in virtual production already. It's one of the first in the country, and it's really interesting to see how academia is evolving, and it is a new landscape. It's constantly changing, but it's refreshing to see that they're open to collaborations, and they're also setting up their own thing in parallel. So I think that's really awesome. All right. So, there are a lot of training centers emerging here in India. In Mumbai alone, there are over 8 at this point. How do both of you sort of see collaboration versus competition between these centers? Could there be value in standardizing certain parts of our approach across different training centers?
Absolutely, because as I mentioned in the beginning, we identify a huge demand which is in the industry for the artists. So currently, to serve this demand, so we should not refrain ourselves the number of centers should not be seen as a competition. We should see as to grow this ecosystem, we need more talents. So to get more talents, of course, we need more institutes. And also, the best thing about Unreal Engine is it's not a single domain engine. So you can, multiple domain peoples can learn Unreal Engine. So if you take an geographical location, you can have 4 Unreal Institutes. So one can teach purely based on cinema, cinematics, and virtual production. One can teach fully based on game and all those things. One can teach purely based on virtual reality and augmented reality. So it's like, of course, I see this as a collaborative ecosystem growth. We have to see this as a much needed one. A lot of institutes should come up, and a lot of talent should come up to fill up the demand in the industry for Unreal Engine.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and we're seeing that happen, right? Like we have a pretty deep focus on linear media. Bluestone, that's also in Mumbai, they're very focused on, converting people who use other CAD software, specifically like Rhino, and bringing them into, the world of Unreal and real time.
There are some institute focused only for architectural visualization.
Correct, exactly. So yeah, it's good, and it seems like this is something that's constantly evolving. We're seeing the number of Unreal users constantly grow. As I was walking the expo floor, this year, I mean, every year there's a change, but I'm seeing more and more, even of the indies starting to use Unreal. And yeah, that's really exciting to see. Nick, any thoughts on collaboration versus competition?
Yeah, I completely agree with Ganesh. It's very much about building the Unreal community. There's more and more clients that are also interested in using Unreal, and it's really about developing strong pipelines within Unreal to kind of exceed in all areas of media. So, like you were discussing with the local India VFX market, it's very new, and everybody is moving towards using an Unreal workflow. So it's about really defining the community and everything that's being built with Unreal Engine. So it's very excited to be involved as someone who's exposed to all areas of media within the group. It's very fluid, the transferable skills. So for instance, we may have some people who's done some training in the games studio, and then there might be some interest that they need some extra people in the advertisement, or they can move over to feature film, they can move into experiential, and then they have, it's very fluid to move from one to the other with the skills and training that they've learned within Unreal. So even if you've started out and you've done a game design degree like I did, it was very easy for me to move into feature films and be working on things like that as well. So then it also hopefully gives excitement to all the students. They think, okay, you know, rather than going in a direction of complete game design, it's sort of, okay, I'm going to learn the engine, and then I can kind of see what opportunities are open to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So with every release of the engine, there are new features, you know, new things to learn. Just, you know, with Megalites coming out now with 5.5, so much is evolving, right? And we've got new tools for like motion graphics now. We're constantly seeing the engine evolve. How do you approach sort of updating your training programs in response to this rapid development? And how are you able to, you know, sort of cater to the growing needs of the ecosystem?
That's actually one of the hardest things to address being an academy. Also, being in service industry, that's one of the hardest part, because you try to adapt to a pipeline, and immediately the next IGDC comes, next announcement comes, next upgrade comes, and the next features comes off. So as academy, it's more harder than a service company, because your trainers will be already engaged in completely classes, and they would need to like cater all the syllabus and everything. So what we do is we try to communicate more with faculties and give them some free time for upskilling to keep themselves track on what exactly is happening in the industry. We have constant talks, sharing the newsletters within our community, like faculty community, so that they are all well aware of what exactly is happening. So we also get some insights from them. Also, we try to um, revamp our syllabus, not fully, but at least try to include what's newly included in the updates by getting the suggestions from them. So maybe they can give a suggestion that this particular feature has been introduced new. So this maybe that's the month where that's the last month for one of the batches. So we'll
Right.
be like arranging an immediate 2 days boot camp for just to put up that technology into them. So it's like we have to constantly watch the market and what exactly is evolving, and make sure faculties are like readily adapting that, because they want their own time to upskill that new technology. So in spite it's a challenging one, I see it's a mandatory one to get upgraded, because this is the booming time of the software. So
Yeah.
we cannot expect that to get settled on a go. So of course it's growing, and we are running with it to modify ourselves accordingly.
Yeah, to your point, it's you know, it's very much an evolve or die situation. If you don't make the changes quick enough, you know, you
Exactly.
will be deprecated.
Exactly.
Nick, your thoughts are the same?
Yeah, it's very much the same for the. It comes based on client requests. So
Sure.
they'll ask for certain specific things, and you know we'll always say we can meet them, and we always do. But then it's always dependent on there's new advancements each every new update, and then a lot of the training modules that we've done, we may need to revisit those, create particular bridge videos to give them some explanation, maybe do a masterclass around the new features that have been implemented, and then similar to the discussion with pipelines. So sometimes the client is a very quick turnover, and they were looking for a specific need. So then us being able to cater to that area of the pipeline rather than us, because we're co-development, rather than us sort of having a start to finish sort of pipeline of using Unreal, and sort of where do we fit in with that as we sort of progress through the industry.
Got it. So we know what we do isn't easy as training centers. What are some of the unique challenges you've encountered while trying to build Unreal talent here in India?
So one of the challenges is we previously discussed, the fast evolving technology. The next immediate thing is the system requirements for Unreal Engine. So why I'm saying is like academics, and when it comes to colleges or universities, uh, they are ready to adapt to the technology that we suggest them, but what it costs, what it comes up with. So what is the upgradation they have to make in their own laboratory. So all these challenges were still uh, being going on in the colleges and universities. Also, as an institute, um, getting up students like 100 plus students in our offline courses, having so much of systems with graphic cards, constant uh, burning of graphics cards, and main thing is like the size of the files, storage. So there are a lot of IT issues which is being like faced behind running these courses. So we have to build a strong IT ecosystem. We have to have proper networking, internal networks to be done, servers to be set up for students to seamlessly do the practices. So one of the straightaway challenges is like IT infrastructure challenges, which like when it comes to colleges or universities, it's very hard for them to adapt. And being an institute, we have to do this to get students hands-on. So one of the straightaway challenge we are facing is an IT infrastructure challenges.
Correct. No, and that is still a gap, in our country, and it's something we need to solve. It's great to see the effort you're
Also,
making.
the internet. It's like
Yes.
I'll just tell you. Last month it happened. Like we have a limitation of 5 terabytes data usage. It will get over by 20th, just for students. So it's like even the internet usage, the data usage, like the server usage, everything is huge when it comes to running a course which has a offline students coming in and studying full time with us. So that's one of the straightaway challenges we face.
Right. No, that is a huge challenge, and it's refreshing to see that there are people in our Indian ecosystem trying to fix that as well. For instance, Metadesk,
Yeah.
they've sorted out a lot of cloud workflows for people who may not have the appropriate hardware to run Unreal. Uh, investing in a good workstation can cost a good chunk of money, and especially if somebody is learning, so they have cloud machines available, helps bypass a lot of
Virtual machines.
exactly. So that really makes it more accessible to people. Amazing. Nick, your thoughts? Some of the challenges you faced.
Some of my unique challenges I suppose I had faced is with the studio being in Bangalore and
Right.
myself being in the UK. A lot of it's, I mean, they initially started, I suppose, as challenges, but then the engagement from the team and the willingness from everybody within of our teams, of our staff, who are wanting to learn Unreal, it kind of, and their engagement with myself really keeps everything, the training, motivated to its fullest. So the unique challenges, I suppose, that we really get is similar to what we were discussing at the beginning, where we have these long-established industry professionals, and they're used to their workflow using a certain DDC, a certain pipeline, and then us introducing those to Unreal. Sometimes we can find that as a unique challenge in comparison to bringing somebody in as a student, starting from fresh, and kind of saying, this is the way that we work. It's sort of trying to introduce our long-standing sort of staff members into Unreal, and at the same time, while I'm also in the UK, there's a lot of sort of one-to-one sessions that we have with each of the artists to understand from an individual level to ensure that they're getting the correct training that's required for them, rather than it just being, okay, this is the course, everyone complete the course, and you kind of get something at the end. It's sort of, it needs to be more of a one-to-one value that each individual who is completing our training is gaining the value that they require from the training as well.
Right. Absolutely. And this, I'm sure there'll be more challenges as we go ahead, but in summary, I think it's all worth it. With the amount of potential that's there
Exactly.
here in India.
Definitely.
I decided to move back to India after studying and working abroad because I was convinced with the talent that exists here in our country. I really feel like we can push it to the next level, and I'm honored to be sharing the stage with both of you who are also pushing the same
Very much so.
agenda. And I really hope as the gaming market continues to grow, as adoption of real-time tools continues, I think Unreal is very much at the forefront of that. And I think we have a very important role to play in this ecosystem. So I wish you both the very best. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining
Thank you,
me here
everybody.
today. We've got a curious crowd here and people who have stayed after lunch. And we did want to leave a few questions open for the audience. So if anybody has questions to ask.
So people who want to come to this game industries. So before that, so the game industry totally new. So we used to develop like other C++ applications. So we know data structures, some algorithms, and object-oriented concept. But if you want to move to this game industry, what are the skill set needed, or what are the domain knowledge needed to come to this industry?
That's a great question. At least my thoughts on this, right? If you know something like object-oriented programming, if you're entering Unreal, the engine itself is built on top of C++. A lot of those OOP concepts still apply to blueprints as well. But the other bit of prerequisite knowledge that really helps is, understanding 3D workflows to some extent. The engine is built from the ground up to handle that. So having some kind of foundational knowledge in 3D workflows is really beneficial. So that's definitely one thing that comes to mind. I'm sure Ganesh and Nick will have some more thoughts.
Yeah, so that's what as I mentioned earlier, we are trying to explore how this Unreal can be used by multiple domain students. Like if you take a media professional, how a cinematographer can adapt to virtual production workflow, how a computer science engineer can adapt to a blueprint workflow. So on the like point of game development, it's like as Karan mentioned. So one who knows C++ and OOPS, it's like they can easily adapt to Unreal Engine. So the blueprint technology, the visual scripting technology in Unreal Engine is making ease that you don't need to be a pro coder or pro in like typing your own codes. So the visual scripting helps the persons who knows the basics of C++ and object-oriented programming system, and then they don't need so much of deep diving knowledge into a coding so that they can still work in game development. That's the advancement the blueprint gives you. That's the leverage the blueprints gives you.
No, regarding the domain knowledge, you are whatever talking about is a language part. What about the domain knowledge? Like you should have the knowledge about the graphics. So maybe that the multimedia framework, or like what is the different kind of frames, FPS, aspect ratio, refresh rate, or like this multimedia framework knowledge needed, or some game any application developer can come to this industries.
Yeah, that's a really good question. To add to that, right, I think when it comes to domain knowledge, very specifically, with Unreal, you don't have to know it all, right? You can go after a very specific part. So let's say you have more, sort of knowledge of networks and those workflows. You can very easily sort of use your existing knowledge to get into multiplayer development, for example, right? And once you figure out that part within the engine, you start to develop a general level of comfort where you can move to the next and start to explore other things, right? So maybe you've started over there, and now as you go down that path, you maybe become more curious about gameplay programming and how to author things like that. So so it's a mix, right? You need to come in with some amount of domain knowledge, I would say, to start somewhere. And we typically see people start out from one of 3 tracks, right? So they either come in more as sort of 3D artists who have prior experience with another DCC. Maybe they know how to, animate, rig, or model, something of that sort. They can enter, and then they find themselves, slowly becoming technical artists, right, as they use Unreal. So you can start there. If you already have some prerequisite knowledge of programming, there's a lot that's open to you when it comes to scripting interactions or building plugins for the engine. And then lastly, designers, right? So you can quickly go after a tool like UMG within Unreal, or start to use Sequencer for cinematic design. So I think starting with one of these 3 is really helpful, but you should come with some amount of domain knowledge before you start using the engine. That's what I believe.
And I do think with the introduction of like Fortnite Create, the UDFN is very much gives people a very introductory knowledge of Unreal Engine without being completely overwhelmed by the whole engine in the first place. So you can sort of start with a Fortnite Create, move over to UDFN, get a little bit more knowledge of blueprints and how the engine's actually working on a sort of a overview level. And then the further you go into it, the more you get involved with it, you can then start running up Unreal Engine 5 and then start looking into more how the blueprints are actually making the UDFN work in the under the hood, so to speak.
Right. Any more questions? Okay, perfect. We're at time as well. We wrapped up 30 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And lots more to come on today's afternoon. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.